You want to do a ketogenic or carnivore diet or low carb, high fat, and you don't know which one to choose, and you are having problems with one or the other. Well, let's go and break down again the number one problem with these low carb diets right now. Welcome everyone to my humble life. As you can see, that video of my new love, and his name is Rohan, and there's a story behind how I got the most beautiful horse I've ever seen. And for anybody watching that horse, they know he is gorgeous. People who know about horses. I digress. I'm going to go into full reveal of what's going on in the equine sphere of my reality. But for now, what is the number one issue? It's your electrolytes. Again, you cannot do any of these diets and have any success if you think you're going to get enough salt from your meat. And if you don't recognize an electrolyte issue, because that's a big problem with people who do these meat-based diets, or when they drop out their starch, they think, oh, I'm fine because I lost 60 pounds. I have so much more energy. It's just like people are starting to sound like vegans. But you keep going down the line, see, because I didn't recognize magnesium deficiency until 5 whole years from being strict ketogenic. How about that? You must balance sodium, potassium, and magnesium. But today, we're going to focus on sodium and a little bit of potassium. Now, I've done a ton of videos on magnesium, so that's a whole nother video. But the problem is that people they'll drop out their carbs, they start feeling better. Their inflammation goes down, their gut feels better, all in the beginning. They might even have energy. But then slowly, your body loses the ability to balance sodium, potassium, magnesium. Even if you go get a blood test and your numbers look like they're in range, often US numbers are shitey at best, and your blood value is changing every minute and according to what you're drinking or eating. So you have to look at your daily habits of getting your electrolytes together. Now, you know these products, Element, Keto Chow, shite, garbage, burn it. Done videos on that as well. Salt is a huge issue. And I get that. How much salt? How much salt? Okay. It's around 5 to 7 grams. You can go up to 5 to 9 grams. It depends on your height, how active you are. If you're sweating bullets, like right now, it's hot in Tennessee. I'm overly tan, which means I'm sweating bullets in this humidity. I mean, it makes your skin glow, but it's oppressive. With that said, I have to mind my salt more than I would in the winter. And yes, there are several different types of salts. I'm not going to recommend one. Y'all need to find one, because every time I recommend something, someone says, there's lead in that. There's lead in that. There's lead in that Celtic sea salt from France, the famous brand. There's lead in the Redmond's real salt. There's lead and heavy metals and explosive powder in the Himalayan salt. So I no longer tell you what salt to utilize. Now, there are minerals. These are very small amounts. They're not enough. Like, here's some Celtic salt that I chose, right? Because the other brand has lead in it. Okay? I like Celtic sea salt because there's a lot of water in it. And it's not just straight up, sharp, hardcore salt. So you can get away with a little bit more with Celtic sea salt if you're going by teaspoons. So teaspoons 5 to 7. So you could be putting on a quite large heaping teaspoon when you're sweating to death, and you're balancing your potassium. That is fine, absolutely fine. But if I'm going to do a rock salt like Redmond's real salt, I got to take it back, make sure I hit that teaspoon, don't go too much over, or else my salt will supersede the balance of potassium, and that will create a hypokalemic response anyway. Heart palps, nausea, diarrhea, headaches, when you have too much salt and not enough potassium. Now, you may not experience this for years, but when you do, child, you let the floodgates open, you can't stop it. I know. That's why I do these videos, because a lot of people are confused. Some feel like crap, some feel amazing on these low carb diets, keto, carnivore, snake, lion, doesn't matter. But just wait. Tick tock, tick tock. You're gonna have a problem. It's not if, it's when. And you may not recognize the problem, because just like vegans, you feel so light, you feel so airy and fabulous, I got more energy now, until you don't. So for those who are like, I've done it, are you telling me that all these influencers aren't being honest? And I'm like, basically, because we all have bad days. And if you ain't saying that you got a bad day, if you're not saying, oh my God, I got a headache, or it's hot and I'm sweating and I feel like crap and I didn't put enough salt in, I feel nauseous, I have vertigo, dehydration, on low carb diets, because you're dumping fluid all the time, because there's no carbohydrate carbon molecule bound to water to stay in the cells. Okay? So, teaspoon of salt. You can do a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half, which is like a heaping teaspoon, depending on how active you are and if you are sweating bullets. Because if you don't, over time, when your salt gets too low, you can become hyperkalemic, and you feel like shite. Awful. Trash. And then we have a depletion of sodium, right? When the blood sugar starts freaking out, and an increase, a rise in potassium, you feel like super dehydrated. Yeah, and then there's a problem of putting too much salt, which pushes down potassium, and you feel exactly the same. It's not a good feeling, and you may not notice it in the beginning, because you're like, oh my God, I lost 30 pounds. Yeah, just wait, TikTok. Okay, comment below, are you confused about your electrolytes and salt? The type of salt. Even though you guys got to figure it out, comment below, share this content. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. Yes, I do courses on this where I extensively go into the types of salt that I believe are advantageous, or more into depth about how your electrolytes matter with sodium, potassium, magnesium, and how calcium works in the body. But yeah, and I cover all 3 diets, because you can develop dehydration on keto, carnivore, and low carb, high fat, less on low carb, because you still are consuming carbohydrates, just a lot less. And I'm out. Comment below. Energy. And I'm out. Peace.